Today, this is going to be a little bit more of an experimental video, just like it was yesterday we did with GTA 5, trying to figure out if it works well on the PS5. Now, Need for Speed is a little bit different because there's not going to be a release for this game, these games on the PlayStation 5. We're stuck with what we have, so it's a little bit more permanent. So we're going to start with Need for Speed Heat because it is the latest Need for Speed title apart from Hot Pursuit Remastered, which also doesn't have support. Let's launch this game. Now, we did experiment this with a little bit before. If there's a game you want to see specifically, I'm going to link down below in the description, little shortcuts you'll see along the video. You can jump to the specific game that you want to see, but Need for Speed Heat is where we're going to start because Need for Speed Heat is the latest game and it's probably my favorite of the bunch, and so it makes sense to go this way. So we're going to load our save game. All of it's being imported from a PS4. I did a transfer at the beginning, and all of these are running on the SSD internally on the PlayStation. I have a hard drive, but there's no games on it thus far. So straight away you can see a bit of a connection delay here. Gives you a little bit of time to think about, oh boy, is it actually any faster? And honestly, I'm going to have to say, from my experimentations, maybe that's probably going to be the way I go for it. So we're going to go straight in. Now, luckily, one cool thing about playing Need for Speed Heat on the PS5, this now means PS5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox... Basically, everyone that can play this game can play together. That's one advantage, but that's, I guess, the only advantage that we really have so far. So this is the loading of Need for Speed Heat. Now, it seems like to me, from my little experimentations that I've been doing with this game, there's no optimizations whatsoever, of course, we already know, but how come GTA loads in a matter of seconds, whereas this game seems to be taking just as long as ever? Well, I've kind of calculated that it's probably something to do with just Frostbite not working properly in terms of how it loads, because everything seems to be locked in. And when it comes to the loading screens a little bit later on, I'm going to show you in a minute, something strange happens there that I think is interesting to note. And of course, the next Need for Speed, which is now confirmed to be coming next year, well, there's going to be some changes there in terms of loading because it's going to be built from the ground up to work with these. As you can see, this is taking forever. Do I really have to sit through it? I swear, this seems like it's taking bloody longer. To be fair, most of the time I played this game, I played it in rest mode, and on PC, it still loads a lot faster, which doesn't really make much sense. So, unfortunately, once you eventually get into this game, the frame rate is capped at 30 frames a second, so there's no improvements there. In fact, this is... I was going to say, no, there is Need for Speed Payback that has advancements as well, so we're going to wait for this to load in. As you can clearly tell, really didn't do anything there. Now,
when are you gonna get your own place?
what I think is one major advantage to this may actually be to do with the customization. Now, you may notice straight away that things are kind of popping up a lot quicker. There's usually a little bit of a delay in terms of loading these in. Now, there's still a bit of a weird molding effect, but clearly these are switchable much quicker than they previously were. So rims still take a little bit. They take a second load, if that makes sense, to finalize the wheels, but they do load quite a bit quicker than they did before, and all of the body parts are going to be about similar. This car, unfortunately, doesn't really have any, and the sound system does nothing. So let's jump into one other thing, which is, of course, the free roam. That's one of the most significant loads in this game. Let's back out. Let's go to daytime. Now, this is where the loadings get a little bit weird to me, considering that we should now be in. If most games, even new gen games, we're in. But it seems like it has to do the full cycle before it loads. I don't quite understand what's going on there, because that doesn't really make any sense to me. At no point can it skip. It's almost like it's just an animation that has to follow all the way through, because that end is always the end. I still love this game. Give it a little bit of boost. So I guess there's only one thing left to try, which is to start an event and see how long the loading of that takes. But so far, I must say I'm not massively impressed with the loading on this game. It's not great news. It's not great news, my friends. It's not great news. I wish there was a special version coming out for this, but of course Ghost is no more, and we should be in. But we're still loading this race. So quite frankly, Need for Speed Heat, I need to still figure out how to use this UI properly. Need for Speed Heat in the bin. Goodbye. Unfortunately, not optimized. which is a shame. Now, moving on to Need for Speed Payback. This one I haven't tried. I have to say I have not tried this one. I've not even booted this one on my PlayStation. Now, Need for Speed Heat is going to be shoved to the hard drive. Are we going to keep Need for Speed Payback on the SSD? I'm not sure. You can currently move PS4 games, but not PS5 games to a hard drive because the SSD is required and you'll need an SSD and so on. So we're loading the save game. This, hopefully we got a little hidden gem here. Hopefully this game loads a little bit quicker. We shall see. It's got a normal splash screen load. All Need for Speed games seem to take a long time to load. Oh. That was a speedy little jump there. Quite honestly, I haven't played this in quite a while, except for that one-off video showing you guys that it's now available. And it does seem that it's still going to take absolutely forever to get past this screen. And this isn't even the only load, is it? I'm very disappointed. Like, there must be something just completely incompatible with the load, with the SSD. It's just not even doesn't even know it's existing. I actually told you the hot pursuit's available. That's pretty weird, isn't it? So we're going to jump into Need for Speed Payback. And Need for Speed Payback was, I think it did have PS4 Pro support. So there's 2 games that have Pro support. 2015 does not. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But there was Pro support for this. I don't think there is actually any advantage to... I say that. There is an advantage. You can play it in pseudo 4K. But this game doesn't look fantastic as is. It looks pretty bare. Let's have an experience and see how it goes. There was no really any pop-in issues. Honestly, it's almost as if this just didn't take any optimizations whatsoever. And there's a lot of jagged edges on this game compared to the other games. Yeah, not quite fantastic. It's going to be safe to assume that it's going to be similar, but we're going to jump into the garage just to check. Is it properly the same in terms of everything seems to load quicker customization-wise? Because that would be the only improvement, is loading wheels takes less bloody time. Go into the garage. How's this look? Now, this loading may have been... loading may have been quicker. That loading may have been quicker. It almost seems like there's some animation loading. Like, just not actually loading. It's just animations, and they're all consoles are equal, and... yeah. But the wheels seem to load... significantly faster. I can actually recognize what they are a little bit quicker. I guess it's going to be interesting to see, is this going to be any better on the Xbox Series X? I definitely want to give that a go, because that's a more straightforward setup. Sony has created a chip that just... honestly, I don't have the technical wording for it, but they've created a chip that gives it direct access, which... it's another thing to go through. Whereas Xbox is literally just they've put in an SSD. That's it. And so it's a little bit more straight cut to the point. The PlayStation therefore does have better advantages if the games support it, whereas the Xbox would be more raw cut in that type of situation. So yeah, so I'm going to say no. Maybe loading into the garage was a little bit quicker. Let's exit the garage and see how this loading screen is. Is this going to be any quicker? Because I remember this took a little bit of time before. It seems like it's just taking as long. Maybe a little bit quicker. I remember online it used to take some time, but again, that could have just been, probably was because of the addition of it just being multiplayer. Right, let's go and close this one. Again, I really need to learn this UI. We're going to try the final version of Need for Speed that I would recommend playing. Need for Speed 2015. Now, Need for Speed 2015 is some of people's favorites ever. One of the people. It's just the atmosphere, everything. Now, the one you'll notice right in the corner there, it actually says there's going to be some issues with it. At least that's what it says when it launches. I have yet to find any problems myself. I don't think there's any problems, but there could be. Now, there are some Ubisoft games that also have issues and won't launch properly and stuff. They will launch properly, but they do launch and they just have flickering shadows or something. Now, I've played a couple of minutes of this so far, so I can't really say, oh, it's issue-free, but I've not experienced anything thus far. I mean, it wasn't 100% stable on the PS4 as was. So, keeping everything in, showing you how it is, connecting the EA servers, it still takes its time. it still takes its sweet time. And this is a loading screen here, which may be a little bit... That may be the one loading screen that actually is quicker. We're not sure on that one. So we can jump into all drive or speedless. I went onto single player. Let's jump into all drive because that's the option. It's finding a session for us to join. Of course, multiplayer is going to have a little bit of a delay in here because it is a multiplayer thing, but it's not creating a game. Now, this is the proper loading screen of 2015. And I have to tell you, this is probably the slowest loading I've experienced on the console thus far. We're in a world where Need for Speed, a game with just cars, loads so much slower than just the good old GTA, which is just jam-packed with content. This is honestly quite ridiculous how long it takes. It's a bit of a shame because considering that if Ghost was still a thing, I'm pretty sure Ghost would have done an update for Need for Speed or a reversion of Need for Speed Heat just so that we can have these optimizations of loading and the like an Ultimate Edition, but of course there was one bit of DLC, so there isn't really much point of having an Ultimate Edition. This takes the cake! And I can't skip it, I can't just jump cut. I can't just, like, leave these bits out. These are bits you don't have to experience when I'm doing all my cutting and also just jumping into rest mode, because that's... Honestly, when I play Need for Speed and Need for Speed comes out, rest mode every time. I never quit the game because I'm always in bloody rest mode. Anyway, ridiculous. This is insane. Insane how long it takes. And my livery hasn't even loaded yet. Where is my livery? It's gone. Great. Maybe that's an issue. Maybe that's an issue. Maybe that's part of the issue that... Oh, no, there we go. It's finally loading in. Wow. Wow, indeed. Okay, let's go into the rim customization. Clearly, these are the fastest wheels we've got loading on the PlayStation 5. They load super, super quick, but that's all I can say. That's the only thing that I've noticed does load a little bit quicker. We're going to actually... Let's go in to see what other vehicles we have. Let's go to warehouse. I've got my other cars available. Let's go for the Murcielago, maybe. I'm gonna say we'll jump in the Mercy, and then we're gonna do a quick leave of the garage and see how long does this take. And it's next gen, so we should be outside now, but we ain't. Yeah, this is a long loading game. The long loading game. Now, the only other thing I can say is in terms of optimizations, there's none. In terms of speed enhancements, maybe events, but then you have to remember the events in this game, they don't load. All the events are kind of loaded, God, the handling. All the events are loaded kind of at the initial load. So the only advantage that I've seen thus far for this, again, this game doesn't... I don't know what that... Oh, it was one of those moments, wasn't it? The only advantage that I've experienced on this game is on all the three games is the wheels loading faster. This game doesn't even support 4K or any sort of type of up higher res than 1080p 30 FPS. So, yeah. Not fantastic. Not fantastic. So it leaves a lot of margin for them to improve upon all terms of frame rate and resolution for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X for the next... God, the handling of this game, I forgot. When you play any of the Need for Speed for a while, or any of the racing game for a while, and then jump back to this, nah. It's just not, it's not having it. It's not having it. It's not happy. So yeah, there you go. That's what we currently have for the next year in terms of Need for Speed, and even we'll talk more about Need for Speed Hot Pursuit soon. But it doesn't seem like there's any advantage whatsoever. You may have some slight load advantage, but in reality, oh my! It's a bit of a car crash. I honestly deserve to be rammed off the road for that. Have they given up the event as well? This still looks great. It still looks like a great game. But it's just 1080p now. It's just 1080p now. Alright, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you are new, and hopefully, very soon, we can get maybe an update for Hot Pursuit Remastered at the least. maybe. I don't. EA, please. The game came out like a week before. Like, supposed to have optimization. Alright, until next time, my friends, smash like and peace.